Hello, my name is Garth Hassel. I'm a husband, I'm a dad, I'm an author, fiduciary financial advisor, kind of a fancy term there, and a new fan of Learn.
Well, thanks for joining me today, Garth. Can you share a little bit with our viewers today about your business and the focus of the work that you do?
I'd like to get people to focus on what I call the end game, which is a way to pull their retirement and estate plans on the same page within like 60 days. And most people surprisingly haven't done that. And I emphasize relationships over money. Money is important, of course, but we look really hard at relationships and how those might change through your sunset years.
And what do you enjoy most about the work that you do with your clients?
Hugs.
I like those too.
You know, when people realize they've made some of the toughest decisions they're ever going to have to make, but they do it in a state of calm, that's empowering to them. And when they've backed them up with legal power and financial resources, that means they've really committed and they got that going. And for the decisions you can't really make right now because you can't anticipate every eventuality, they've built in flexibility. And so what that does is, I mean, if we throw around all the cliches we hear about financial freedom and peace of mind, what it really comes down to is confidence. And I've seen that people want confidence more than anything else. And once they realize they've established at least a foundation for confidence, that's usually worthy of a good hug, or today, an elbow bump, or at least to live long and prosper. I love that.
Thank you so much for sharing that. What motivates you to do the work that you do in this important space?
It ultimately goes back to my first dozen years of marriage, where my wife had medical issues that are similar to that of an aging parent at the time. And I discovered quickly the demands that puts on you. And we were living in a new part of the country, but so we didn't have a circle at all. And the kind of problems you're dealing with don't exactly invite people to knock on your door and say, hey, I want to be your friend. And, I'd love to help, because, the issues you're dealing with aren't easy. Help isn't easy. It's not even logical. So what happens is you tend to become isolated. And I realized that isolation it can be destructive. For some people, it can be deadly. When I left engineering in 2007, I really reflected on my experience and experience my brother had when he was dying of cancer. So I designed a sound path to follow versus the media entertainer pill to swallow for planning one's end game. And that really is my motivation, and then the hugs that go with it.
I love that. So do you have one piece of advice that you share with your clients that you would like to share with our viewers today?
Absolutely. And that is resolve. That's drawing that line in the sand. Resolve to start now. Back in the 90s, when no one ever heard of Jeff Bezos, he said he made all his decisions at the 70% mark. So when you have roughly 2/3 of the information you need for that decision, you go. Because waiting for or paying for that last 1/3 of the information you need is counterproductive. So we have to give up the idea that we're ever going to have all the information we need to decide anything. It's a journey. So once you put that aside, it's easier to resolve, say, okay, we're going to get going. We're going to adjust along the way. I'm going to get the right kind of counsel I need. I'm going to follow a sound path versus just take water cooler advice and get it done.
Well, that is really great advice. Thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome to Learn.
Thank you, Dara. My pleasure.